to Fort 1E, which is our new podcast. This is the second attempt at an episode that we're making, and we did it 2 days in a row. This is it. You know, streak, the kill streak.
Hot streak.
Like sometimes we're gonna get like a care package soon. I can feel it.
From who? Did we mention any? Yeah, we should talk about something we really like. I kind of like biltong. I like Brooklyn biltong. So I'm just going to give Brooklyn biltong a shout out. If you like the podcast, you want to send us a care package, we're not going to be offended by it. Biltong. Yes, are you not familiar?
No.
You vegetarian scum. So let me educate you. It's not jerky, but it's similar. Jerky is made using molasses, which is basically sugar, which is ideally something you're not getting too much of, especially just like pure sugar, which is more or less what molasses is. I could go on about inflammation, and how sugar is related to that, and a bunch of stuff about that. But jerky is pretty convenient because it's a way to have meat immediately. You transport it. It lasts a long time. You don't need to prepare it. So it's handy for those reasons.
Salty meat.
Yes. I love salty meat in my mouth. And the salt's not necessarily a bad thing if you're not getting too much sodium in the rest of your diet. I don't think that's the problem with jerky. I think it, in my opinion, is the molasses. Biltong, there's a different process.
Molasses-free jerky.
They take the cow. I was just checking on the cat. They take the cow, not the cat, the cow, and they murder it, and they chop it up, and they make it into like strips, and take like clothespins and like hang it on a line, and like wait, and then you eat it.
And hope that the local vermin don't get it.
You do need to do something about vermin, both local and maybe even willing to travel, willing to migrate for some delicious cow.
I see your cat in the lower left-hand corner of the screen.
Yeah, that's Kali. That's the one that's supposed to be eating. Oh, wait, no, that's Faye. That's the one. See, she's sneaking over. I misidentified my own cat. That's the one that wants to steal. Oh, and there's Kali down there. Oh, you can't see her. But there, I know this is great podcast content. Oh, now you can't even see it. There's a cat. There's a cat duel.
There's two cats.
Yeah, there we go.
There's a standoff. There's a cat standoff.
Cat standoff. It's high noon amongst feline kind, which is too bad. So I think they spice it because the biltong I get is like kind of spicy and stuff, but it's really good. And more than one company makes it, but I always get Brooklyn biltong, and it's damn good. So, episode 2, Fort 1E, brought to you by Brooklyn biltong, our unofficial sponsor.
I have so many topics to start with.
This episode not brought to you by Brooklyn biltong in any way.
Do we need a disclaimer for the ad? We can't get sued for endorsing a product, can we?
I have no idea. I mean, I think that if we said that we were endorsed by them, like they were supporting us and they're not,
no,
that might be illegal.
They definitely are not supported yet.
They really want to. I could definitely lie and say that they've contacted me about it, and that they've made videos serenading me and wrote songs to us about how much they love the first episode, but I don't think I can say the company supports us.
Yet.
So what's one of your topics, Greg?
Well, I don't know. Well, I was watching Mad Men, and like the episode was over, and then I walked to my window, and I just was looking outside, and then I just saw another person in like another window looking outside across the street, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And I was just like, what do I do? Like, does this person see me?
I mean, did they not look at you?
how the fuck was I supposed to know? Like, they were drifting in and out of the window.
Oh.
So I did what any rational person would do. I got my camera. And I tried out my zoom lens.
Yeah.
Like, if someone's in the window, is that basically a waiver to give away rights to have their picture taken of them? No, right? Did I violate?
It doesn't sound like it would be.
Some sort of personal rights by doing so?
I mean,
this person is unrecognizable in the photo. It's merely a blur with the light blue color of their shirt. It's not even, you can't even tell if it's a male or female.
I don't know if that's going to do you any favors, but regardless. It's like there's this person like complaining, about harassment, and your excuse is that you can't tell what gender they are. Like, that's not going to improve your situation. I do think that there should be at least some lenience if someone is in a photo, but it's got to probably be by accident,
but
right? Like if I'm taking a picture of a bird,
their likeness, even if they saw it. Which how could they see it unless I intentionally wanted them to see it? Or it's weird. But anyway,
but that's not at all what it's about, right? Like it's about feeling comfortable not having people taking photos of you.
Getting the color of the clothes they were wearing so I could put it in a painting or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea is that you should figure that out some other way. That doesn't involve taking a photo of someone in their home without their permission.
But they're like posing in their window.
I mean, I will grant you it's possible they were like, I hope someone's like looking out their window and notices me, and maybe there's something really wrong with them and they'll take a picture of me. Maybe they were thinking that. It's possible. Yep. And they're like, I won't. They would not call the police. They would be like, what's your number? And want to call you. Like, those people exist, but
all right,
I can't assume it's that person.
I won't do that again.
It's not a good idea.
I guess I literally just went mad after watching Mad Men.
That sounds like a fair excuse to really do anything. I was watching Mad Men. Oops.
Shot away from the head.
It's like Hitler's like, oh, ich habe Mad Men Gazette. Oopsie.
There's this character who like accidentally stabs her boyfriend like in the chest with a knife.
Yeah.
She has like a knife on like a pole on like a broomstick because like they're living in a really dangerous neighborhood, and her husband like her boyfriend, fiance, whatever, they're living together, walks up behind her and is like, "Everything okay?" And she turns and stabs him in the fucking chest with a steak knife. And she's like, "Oh my god, I'm sorry. What do I do?" He's like, "Don't remove the
knife." Shit. Yeah, I mean that's why you don't put knives on broomsticks. I think
that's the main lesson to be learned from this.
What's that show about?
Well, you only have June 10th to watch it on Netflix. It's just about an advertising mogul. A lot like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a character in Fountainhead that really matches the character arc of Don Draper, but I don't know, maybe he's Rorkean, but it's like later on in Rourke's career after Fountainhead ended.
Okay. Sounds cool.
They make allusions to Ayn Rand. They make allusions to Atlas Shrugged a few times. So that's the other book that you got to read.
What is?
Atlas Shrugged.
Oh, yeah. I thought for some reason you said yet another one. I will get around to that. I'm almost actually done with a book now, which doesn't usually happen. Usually I don't finish books. But regardless, that sounds cool. Wait, how many episodes is Mad Men, or seasons rather? How long is it?
7 seasons.
Okay.
Hour-long episodes. I think 13 or 14 episodes a season.
I recently finished Stranger Things, and we're actually getting to the end of Buffy. We're like halfway into season 7.
You haven't finished Buffy? That's really alarming.
It's been a very gradual watch with Sarah and myself, but we are almost done. And then we're going to start either watching Angel or Buffy again with director's commentary.
That sounds like the way to go. Director's commentary, amazing. I watched the last season, and then I watched the last season backwards.
That's cool. With director's commentary, or just again?
I never even knew that the director made comments.
I mean, it's got to be the J-Man himself, the big JW.
I'm not sure if it's a man or woman, but I guess it is a man.
Whatever they are, I know they have a wife, but that doesn't really narrow it down. But I'm looking forward to that, and Buffy, or the story of Angel, I believe is subsequent to season 3 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So season 1 of Angel is the result of things that happened in the first 3 seasons of Buffy. And so what we might do is just start watching Buffy again with director's commentary, and then when we finish season 3, then go into Angel. Yeah.
That's sick. Sick idea.
It was Sarah's idea, obviously.
Amazing idea.
Yeah,
one of the shows I love most. That's just it.
And the other thing that you made me think of that I was thinking I should think about watching is The Sopranos.
See.
Lots of people say it's good. Lots of people talk about it. It's like iconic in a lot of ways, and even if it's not my favorite kind of thing or even that good, watching it, I'll still know something about what people like and what, this popular thing. So it seems like a good thing to watch. I feel like I might do that before I do Mad Men.
Well, you might have to, because starting Mad Men now, you only have until June 10th on Netflix. So
I mean,
you should just catch it another time.
I have not had trouble watching anything, regardless of its presence on or off Netflix.
My entire life.
Yes, that's the rest of that sentence. So far, so good.
Partial eclipse. Sorry.
Greg is blocking his camera. What were you using?
This. I just clamped it on there.
Oh, it's some kind of clamp for a mic?
Ooh.
Or is it a capo? Oh, it's a tuner?
It's a charger. I mean, no, it's a tuner.
It's a tuner.
Damn it.
Yes.
Well, this is the snark.
Very nice.
That's all, folks.
Is that an especially good tuner?
It's the one I use.
So, maybe.
Clearly it is.
I mean, it's got snark in it, which is like snarky malarkey.
That was a band in college that you were a part of? Maybe posthumously? No, posthumously.
Ostruously.
Yeah.
You as well.
I do have to say that the one gig we played, we only played one gig, right?
With me there, yeah.
Yeah. So you were so drunk, like an hour before we had to leave, you were blackout drunk. We could not wake you. We tried everything to wake you. We're like, okay, whatever. We're just gonna have to play without him. Like, you got blackout drunk, and then like you woke up, you like went to the bar, and like you were like sleeping in the bar. You were just like zonked, like you were just like not there. Like we're on.
It was
like,
very funny.
You just play your drums, like whatever.
Yeah, the way that started was that I completely forgot we were doing that day. It just...
No one reminded you.
I was paying no attention to any kind of schedule of any kind. And I was like, oh, I just have all this free time today. Yeah, I'll see if anyone wants to do shots and play League of Legends. And someone did, and I played really bad and died a lot. And passed out whenever, like 6 earlier. I think I was asleep for over an hour before you guys found me.
You passed out drunk at like 5.
I really can't remember when.
Practice so that Evan passed out.
And so we get to the bar, and you and Josh like go on ahead to like do God knows what, and I just want to keep sleeping. And there's a couch
at the bar,
and and these two girls like are like, hey, are you in the band? And I'm like, yeah. And like, cool, what do you call it? And then like, move. You're blocking the couch.
Move would be a great band name.
Move, you're blocking the couch. And then I like
you're
sit
blocking
down.
The couch.
I sit down on the couch, and they're like, yo, so how long have you guys been in a band or whatever? And I just like close my eyes.
That's how you give an interview, ladies and gentlemen.
It's really funny. It's like this thing that like it seems like if it really does happen, it would not happen to the drummer. Like just showing up at a bar and like, oh, you're in the band, and like I didn't think that was like real. Or if it was, it's because like the person regularly came and performed. I don't know. I figured there's a real explanation.
Prepared for that reception immediately. Like they were more ready for us than we were for them. Apparently,
I was very not ready.
That's an understatement.
I was nowhere remotely ready, and it's really funny that did actually happen once. And I was so completely blitzed. I could not even engage with it in any way, shape, or form.
Like, yeah, everyone always dreams about the perks of, like, playing music in a band and, like, the bullshit that's fed to them by the media. And then you're like, it's all bullshit. Like, none of that actually works. Like, yeah, I don't care how many letters they sent. Morning came, morning went. Pack up your money, pick up your tent. You know, like.
Sure.
But then sometimes it actually works out. And you're like, well, I could not have predicted that it actually would work out this way. And I don't know if it will ever work out this way again, but now I have to live knowing that it could work out.
And that
more of a burden than anything.
That it could work out and that it did, but I was also really wasted. And so it kind of didn't. It's a lot of lessons about music and being involved in music and things like that, all wrapped up into one moment of semi-consciousness.
Yeah, we were both extremely monogamous in college.
But it still was cool. Like, I still would have liked to have been conscious for that. Like, even if I was not going to be doing anything with either of them, it still would have been nice to enjoy the conversation and be like,
Yeah, like you would have like been a great person to talk to in that circumstance, under any other circumstance besides you being completely shit. Like you must have
but
had 10 shots or something. Like I don't know.
probably.
Unreal.
I don't know if I ate like what I ate. If I ate anything, it was rice, right?
You probably just had rice.
That's the only thing that wasn't the only thing I ate, but that definitely became
Pizza.
a staple.
So much pizza. That was
And
the best
lots of
part about
pizza.
living on the corner, like so close to get pizza.
That was fun.
Like when it was cold out, that was like the one thing to live for.
Yeah, the cold was brutal. Maybe that's why I was drinking.
Yes, that's definitely why.
Trying to stay warm. But yeah, that and like I think regardless, that's a very funny memory that I can either take it as a lesson or be mad about it, and I try to do the former. There's definitely no benefit from doing the latter.
Yeah, it's just a ladder.
And it's not like any of it isn't my fault, you know?
I too feel that way.
But
Maybe it's not true for either of us.
I put myself in the position to be at the bar with you guys to play music, which is great, but I also made myself extremely drunk, which was not. And
I mean, there's no one without the other. You wouldn't have been there if you weren't the person to get that drunk.
that's worth considering. It's easy to look at two effects that are different and then just decide that the causes can be separated easily when sometimes they can't. Like genes, you know. There's chunks of things that are doing lots of things all at once, and you can't just take two pieces out and expect it all to keep working. That you make a good point, but I guess then the way for me to look at it constructively, I think, would be I want to be the kind of person that does put myself in the bar to play music with you guys, but at least doesn't get shit-faced. Like, maybe I can have a drink, you know, but not passing out and incapable of having a conversation. Even if I needed to do that then, which, you know, that's a reassuring thing to think, and it may be true as well. The way to take it going forward is that there's parts of that, however, you know, it isn't necessarily easy because they might be intertwined, like you're saying, but there may be some way to have the good part without having the bad part. And that's something I can now I know maybe that's something I have to do.
We all learn these lessons coming of age, how much to consume, how much to imbibe, you know, like whatever. We've all paid fines and bribes. All right, other topics. There's a few. Apparently, something really crazy happened. So there was, you know, the COVID restrictions, they restricted, like, mass gatherings.
Mm-hmm.
There was a church service that violated the COVID protocol.
Okay.
And then they were exposed and, like, sanctioned, whatever. And then somebody burned it down.
The church?
Someone burned down the church that violated the social distancing.
With people in it?
No.
Well, that's good. Damn.
Like,
well, I mean, they shouldn't have been going to church either.
The person that burned it down was also in violation, I think.
Well, we already know that there's not a manslaughter for arson.
How close are we to everyone having, like, did you watch Handmaid's Tale?
No.
Or anyway, but there's checkpoints. Like basically, like, how close are we to having everyone's intention declared for their destination, like many times along their route.
Like in Russia.
To make sure, like, they're doing what they say they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
This is like an issue that, Margaret Atwood brings up.
It's an American thing, I think. Or in my opinion, it's part of what makes America great, and what made it what it is, the ability to go from state to state without needing to do that.
I agree.
That is, I think there's a number of different ways that's good. It helps with everybody behaving as a cohesive United States of America rather than trying to pull a Brexit. We did have a civil war, but ultimately it seems like part of what makes everyone get along is the ability to go from place to place freely. And it's also kind of a solution and a kind of a freedom of being American. Like if you... is everything okay, Greg?
Yeah, I think I hear you in the headphones as well.
If you don't like the place you're in, you have the freedom to go someplace else. Now, if you can't afford to do it, then that freedom doesn't mean as much, but it's something. And if there were these checkpoints, it would be easier to prevent that. What were you saying?
Right now, the country can't afford to have people, moving around and going places and seeing other people. That's
true.
Really, it becomes more of a public safety issue now. It's very weird.
So that's a reason to believe we might be going towards that checkpoint system. I think they do something similar to that in Russia. I've never been, but I've heard that you kind of do need to regularly tell the government what you're doing and why you're going where you're going. And so, as far as American things go, that really screws with capitalism as well. If you want to be able to have people come and buy your stuff from anywhere, and if you want to be able to go anywhere and start a business, if every time you're doing anything like that, you need to spend time dealing with the slow bureaucracy of the government, everything's just going to happen more slowly, and it's all going to cost more. And the lack of that in the United States is one of the reasons why it has happened much more quickly than a lot of other countries.
Agreed. I mean, I was afraid when I saw that depicted in Handmaid's Tale years ago, before this entire crisis. It seemed like our civil liberties are kind of being oppressed a little bit. And at any given point, we're now being forced on the line to defend ourselves, defend our circumstances, defend how just we are for existing. And it's a weird right-wing regime when you kind of have to be forced into that defensive existence.
Yeah. Rather than being defended by your public officials or something like that.
Exactly. Rather than the purpose of public policy to make sure people are free to live their lives to the best of their ability, but not the priority. Unfortunately.
It's always worth considering that because we're involved in what we're trying to observe, there's things that we're missing or biases we have, and an easy one is to conflate how people feel about everything and how everyone's reacting to everything versus how everything is. So, how does everyone feel? Is it safer to be in the United States now versus 100 years ago? And then, do people feel like it's safer now versus 100 years ago? These could potentially have very different answers, and it's really easy to let the way people are feeling, especially if there's people that are in charge, that are promoting these ideas, to to believe that it's more the idea and the feeling and less the reality. So are we really less free now than we were 100 years ago? I think we should.
Well, I think we're definitely less free than we were 6 months ago.
But yeah, so we don't want it to be a slippery slope, because
that's the point of bringing this up.
Yeah, if this restriction was used as an excuse to add more and more, then we could get to that nightmare situation. Doesn't seem that way yet to me. I mean, everything just it seems like plenty of government officials want to lift things, you know? It seems like there's plenty of government officials that don't want to be limiting anything at all. Like Florida is like having...
That shows the real power they have.
Yeah. But it also shows that there's not some conglomeration of exclusively evil, controlling individuals at the head of the entire United States government. It's just a bunch of humans.
Or there's just some people saying, I'm not a part of that thing that's going on.
Well, in Florida, it's them being really dumb and not understanding things.
Naturally.
But regardless, they wouldn't have been dumb the way they were if they didn't feel like they wanted the freedom back and the locking down to be less. So I think there's reason to not be apocalyptic about the civil rights limitations yet. Anyway, yet.
But I mean, just hearing churches being burned really doesn't sit well with me. That's it's a red flag.
Of what?
Of society decaying, of anarchy looming, the ugly face of anarchy rising from beyond the hills. Unfortunately,
it's come up.
It's disconcerting.
I feel like, ever since Trump began running, the whole flavor of a lot of this has changed, and it's sort of become, like you said, there's this feeling of needing to defend ourselves. I think that's only gotten worse since he started running, and like I said, it's so hard to tell how much of it's the end of the world. I don't know how he's going to destroy the world, but he's gonna. That's what I was thinking. It's possible, and maybe not intentionally is the thing. Like if you think, how would he figure that out? You gotta include also by accident destroying the world, but. Is it really? We do have a lot of freedom. Like, I can have this conversation with you and record it. The internet hasn't become limited in this time. It does seem like the limitations in the past few months are just to protect everybody. It does seem that way. But it's good to be suspicious. But it seemed like, people wearing masks on the subway were crazy. 4 months ago. It's probably, it probably would have been a good idea to not use the subway at all 4 months ago. Yes. But here we are. You live and you learn, or you die. And then maybe you learn. Hopefully. I don't know, whatever. If you don't learn from what kills you, you're a dumbass. I'm going to look at the daily cases. How are we doing? This thing's in the way. It's down from yesterday, but it's Like we had this is the global daily cases.
GDC.
April 24th, which was a Friday. We discussed last episode how Fridays tend to have that's when it peaks every time. April 24th, which was a Friday, a month ago.
Right.
Today is May 24th. Jinkies is right. Oh wait, no. I'm looking at 523. We don't have today's yet because today isn't done yet. Either way, yesterday, 523 is higher than 424.
Saturday. Yes. Oh, yesterday's is higher than a month ago.
Yeah, Saturday is higher. Well, but Fridays are the high days, not Saturdays. So our our Saturday yesterday, not the day that's supposed to be the peak, because Friday was even higher. Our Saturday is above a Friday from a month ago, which is not. We want it to be lower.
That's bad.
But let me look at the U.S.
Oh, is a human race? You're saying okay?
Yeah, the U.S. is still on its way down, which is good. But that global chart had been looking really good for a while, and now it's not looking as good, which is just too bad.
Well, regardless of the statistics, I mean, the rate of change of the statistics is not going to reflect the actual rate of change of the virus like quick enough to really make a difference in policy. We can't plan as if the rate's going down. How can we? We don't know. Mm-hmm. It's just what we're testing is going down.
Mm-hmm.
In theory,
the plan just needs to be to bring it down. Like, yeah, it's like you said, there can't be any planning for it already going down. That's how you screw it all up.
You have to plan on it maybe like ramping up to handle, like continually ramping up just to have a steady state. Like this, the state of hospitals before this is not going to be the baseline. Like it's got to change.
Yes.
That's clear.
The amount, like, and we need to keep building on it, because if we don't, and then it does actually continue somehow, now we're getting more cases than we were expecting, we're going to regret not having gotten. The more prepared we get now, just like 4 months ago, the more prepared we get now, the better the coming months will be. If we don't do enough over the next 30 days, it will be we'll be looking at a year. You know, like the time now is very valuable.
Yeah, it's possible we could get hit by a worse virus. So taking care of.
I tried to mute my mic. What were you saying? Sorry.
It's no longer. Well, we should have handled this differently. It's like, wow, we got to handle it this way going forward.
Yeah.
Can I get it? Yeah, please, please God. Please God, help us change our ways. Like, I don't believe in God, but please God, we need help.
Ideally, we have learned from this. It would be unfortunate if we didn't.
Quite.
I do hope that a result of this happening is that more preparation is done. So when it happens again, it's not so bad.
That's the hope.
And, you know, I think people like me, a little bit, can be rightfully salty about not having been prepared this time. We do know that epidemic and pandemic, whatever, very icky diseases can happen and have happened. And there are things that you need to do. and I feel like this all could have been like played out. Like people could have sat down and said, if there was a disease that spread by breathing, what would happen? You know, and like actually like been like, oh shit, you know, how is everybody going to get food? You know, well, maybe we should make a plan for that. Like, it doesn't seem like too many steps in the future. But we got to work with what we've got now.
Certainly. Okay, so the two branches of conversation from here I have are: cannabis is more effective at preventing and treating COVID-19 than hydroxychloroquine. And they are saying that there are certain cannabinoids, well, certain strains of weed which are high in certain novel cannabinoids that actually treat the disease, you know, in the inflammatory pathway, using cannabinoid receptors and all this, you know, mapped out biochemistry that shows that it has an effect in treating COVID.
Weed
More than
cures
whatever the
COVID.
president is pumping into his dumb face.
Wait, what's that?
It's more effective than the treatment that the president is pumping into his dumb face and shitting out on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scientists believe cannabis could help prevent and treat coronavirus. See, I thought you were going to say marijuana is more effective because when you just smoke it, you just want to stay home.
Oh, well, yeah, that's why. That's
If no one went outside, like, this never would have happened.
I can't remember the term for that in a study, but an effect that is not accounted for by whatever, ghost effect. Or who knows? Somebody will know the answer.
They want to stay in their fort.
Anyway, a more interesting prompt is there are advocates that are saying that, well, just back up. Like, New York was in a state of, like, I'm in the restaurant industry.
Mm-hmm.
I have been for a number of years. I got pretty much, you know, since I was in high school, working at Subway. And there's a person that's an advocate that's saying that the way we had it before with restaurants, like take New York, for example, the way we had it before with New York is unsustainable and really could never go back. It can never go back to the way it was. We can't ever have it that way again. We should let the restaurant industry die and just, I don't know, find other ways.
Is that your suggestion, or is that what other people are saying?
That is what a proponent of this theory was actively spreading it. And it struck me personally.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing this person could say that would affect my job that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I'm threatened by it. I'm just like irked, like, wait a minute, how isn't it like maybe the most important thing in our country for people to be able to go out to dinner when they want?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have money to spend. You know, that's like a feature over 200 years of our country. Like, them, they were like the first things that had, you know, places for people to go to get out of their house. Like,
Mm-hmm.
pretty important part of our country. Like,
Yeah.
we want to escape prosecution from
Head to the pub after work.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe we could do it differently.
Well,
Maybe we don't need to do it differently, but we're gonna have to do it differently.
yeah. I was just imagining that the only difference, you have to have more precautions for this kind of emergency, but this should not be happening all the time.
The average restaurant worker, the average food service worker is pretty careful. You know, everyone pretty much wears gloves all the time, for the most part. Do we wear masks? No. That we're probably gonna have to start wearing masks. That's what we think. So our beautiful faces won't help us in the kitchen, and our shit talk between chefs will be muddled, so we'll have to project more and be louder.
Strain your voices.
We're gonna have to, we're gonna have to be louder, and then it would take our focus away from our cutting, and the food's gonna be worse. So, thanks a lot, COVID.
That is lame, and that's not. I mean, I've definitely been aware of the fact that like the businesses in my area in the Hamptons are very. They make a lot of money off drinks and food, but they're doing takeout. But there's so much revenue through the bar, so this has been a huge problem for those businesses. But I wasn't. I was like thinking it would just go back to normal after, you know. But I don't see why
it should.
What's that?
Perhaps it should go back to normal, but people are gonna bitch and moan about stuff going back to normal, like OD, like way too much. I mean, I think if we just everyone wears a mask if they're scared of getting it. We got to take this risk into our own hands eventually.
Mm-hmm. Anytime you go to a restaurant, you do risk getting sick from everyone else in the restaurant, even if they're not working there. Like, that's always been true. But I think, like, for a temporary period, while, like, let's say we get coronavirus numbers down to 10% of what they are today. So we're doing great. We're in the future. Some people are still sick. Maybe for a month or 2 or 3, restaurant workers should continue to wear masks, and plenty of other people continue to wear masks if they're going to be really close to other people. But that's how you prevent it going back up to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15%, you know, while still being able to run your restaurant. And then ideally, this is what I was imagining, you get it to 0 or, you know, less than 1%, and then no one needs to wear those masks anymore unless they want to, like you said.
That's not going to happen for years unless like a really effective cure is found.
Years.
Yeah.
It does kind of seem that way now.
An effective cure is going to happen, you know, maybe, who knows, hopefully by 2021. That's where we're realistically looking at.
It's lame because we don't really need a cure. We just need to not keep spreading it.
Right. Or, I mean, if it continues to spread, you know, maybe we can't stop the spread. Sure, we can limit it, but we got to plan for it spreading more too. We can't cross our fingers and hope, you know, plan for life without this virus. Now it's going to be a sickness that's going to be around. It's probably not going to be like a passing West Nile thing. It's probably going to be more like a seasonal flu. Sometimes you can just get this disease that once afflicted the entire world and now is only seasonal and rare, and expressed itself, you know, in certain people, but most people haven't. It's like everyone has COVID, but you know, only some, you know, exhibit symptoms from it. Eventually, like that's where I think headed. I don't think it's really headed to irradiating it from the earth.
Well, don't you get immune to it after you have it once?
Yes, but you can get it again. Apparently, I don't. I mean, I didn't take a virology class, but I took biochemistry. You know, once the antibody's there, I guess you can get a slightly different strain of it, which maybe the antibody isn't as effective as fighting the first strain, but maybe still helps it. Maybe you don't get it as bad the second time. That's what I think they're talking about in terms of helping the immunity or building up an immunity to the virus. You're not completely immune to it. It's not as though you're a ground type and someone did an electric type move. You know, it's like it just affects you less. The effects are diminished.
Mm-hmm. I guess if it's something that you can continue to get, but I was imagining that if everyone who has it isolated themselves and waited 2 weeks or 3 weeks and then de-isolated themselves, the virus would be gone.
Well, the negative effects from the virus, the crowding of the hospitals, the transmission, which is the big problem that you're talking about. Granted, everyone could survive in isolation. That would be an effective way to diminish it. And maybe nobody could spread it after 2 weeks of everyone being in isolation. Maybe.
Yeah, but I guess I don't really know. That's just what I pictured. Is that
probably not? Probably
yeah.
not. It's probably just a part of our environment going forward. It's like aerosols. Like then, like the ozone layer just is not as strong as it was.
Well, do people still get swine flu or whatever it was called?
I don't know.
And there's like the bird flu.
Right.
And SARS, which is related to this. So SARS, to me, seemed like it came and went. And it's genetically related to coronavirus. So that to me indicates it could go away.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
but,
it just spread as rapidly as this one.
Yes, that's a huge difference, right? Or that's the biggest difference that you and I, as non-doctors, as civilians, the thing we notice the most is how much more rapidly it's spreading. But maybe also, like you were saying, even if you get it and then you wait 2 weeks, you could still spread it. And maybe that's not true with SARS, but it is with this one. There's probably more differences that we're unaware of. But the rate of spread seems to be hugely different.
Oh, yeah. So that's what we're dealing with. I mean, I still want to open a restaurant. I don't think that it's really going to change my plan of opening a restaurant. Maybe my restaurant will just be cleaner. Who knows?
Did this person who was suggesting that all the restaurants should be completely changed or gone or whatever have a different idea for what should be done instead?
I kind of got mad. I didn't want to read it. I wanted to talk about it first.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It is stupid having people stand around doing nothing at events. That is the main reason why I got out of front of house line of work. Like most of the time, I mean, a lot of time there's much expected of you. You have to be very present and do a lot of things, and juggle this and that, interact with people, but there's a lot of time where you literally just have to be standing by around other people. Like, sure, that's a great time to transmit disease. That's waste time. That has trouble, potential for trouble brooding in the workplace, or animosity. Give someone to give their wife a call and make them angry or something, like, yeah. So maybe having a more efficient staffing system in restaurants is the way to go. And not just having the fish fry, get a person, make them do as much work as possible, give them the illusion of moving up to do more work or different work, and then cutting loose once they, so something happens. That's like a lot of the way that restaurants run the best. Whether or not it's mob related bullshit, who knows? But that's just the fish fry mentality.
Is good or bad?
Is probably gonna have to change, because you can't just have faces, rotating. You want to keep a regular cast of characters. You want to know who's bringing what into the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what could you take people's temperatures? That's a lot of people were saying that. Every time someone walks into the restaurant, you have like a camera take their temperature. Like, sure, we can do that. We have the technology, but is that really going to help? Probably not.
I mean, if you're the employer, you tell your employees if you're sick or feeling sick, don't come into work, and if you do, you're fired. and then no one's going to do that because they all want their jobs. I feel like capitalism already solved that problem. Like people with fevers people have been having fevers forever. Like before coronavirus, people were having fevers. No one was worried about people walking into a restaurant with a fever. You just don't do that when you have a fever.
Of course. So that's why the restaurant industry shouldn't be as affected as it's going to be.
So it seems like the thing that's bothering you is the disparity between what ought to be done and the likely reaction.
I really just miss all-you-can-eat sushi.
We got, we've been doing sushi takeout. That's good shit.
And feta. I've been doing sushi takeout, but I miss my Chinese bakery around the corner. I really do. Times are tough.
If that's your biggest problem, you're in a good spot.
Yes. That I know of.
Yes. Ignorance is bliss.
La, 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 la.
I don't. Another thing that, like, yeah, I would just imagine both with restaurants and with like concerts and events, anything where like it's questionable because it's hard to socially distance during it.
Like fucking music festivals. Like what? When we saw Paul McCartney, like people were packed like sardines. I lost my shoes. Like the part of being an American is so important.
You didn't lose your shoes. You left them with me and said to watch them, and I did. And then I gave them back to you. If you lost them again after that, I don't know how.
I feel like I smell something cooking.
Uh-oh. Or maybe, well, we've been to Firefly twice. Yeah, the second Firefly with Paul McCartney. I think that's what you said. You went to go closer to the stage and were like, watch my shoes. For some reason you thought traveling without your shoes was going to work better. It had been really muddy, so your shoes were getting stuck in the mud. But like, yeah, still probably not the greatest play. But there was no coronavirus.
I met a girl that as I was walking back, and
yeah.
She was a private investigator.
You mentioned the investigator girl.
And I'm just like tripping really hard, and she's like, "I'm a private investigator." I was like, "How do you get to be one of those?" Like, I was like, "I'm a pretty good sidekick. Like, I don't know if you need a sidekick." I don't remember how that ended.
She investigated your privates?
She did not.
She did not. Yeah, that was a different time, and I think we need to...
Because I went to go get my shoes. Wow. The irony there. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. That is funny. In the coming months, I think things should be different, and that's fine. But I don't see a reason why music festivals and restaurants and sporting events can't all eventually go back to the way they were. I think that we can put everything back the way it was as long as we're A, certain COVID's gone, COVID-19, and B, or, stymied sufficiently. It's taking care of enough.
I don't know, man. People aren't going to want to wait until they're fully sure it's eradicated. Yeah,
that's why I don't know the right word, but put in its place, because maybe, like you were saying, full eradication is not an option anymore. But once we have the plans made that we should have had for this time, so we do have stockpiles of masks, and we have more research on cures, and we have better plans for how people can get food and do other things they need to do with social distancing. As long as we can get right on top of it, the next time, it won't be months of economic lockdown. Maybe weeks. But I think the flip side and the whole...
There's got to be like levels of, alarm. Like levels of green, blue, red. Like there's got to be like high risk, low risk. Like a system effect for the general public, who's everyone's looking at their phone all day. To get an additional piece of information to incorporate into everyday use is not so irrational.
That would help a lot.
Yeah. But
I think if we're ready to respond immediately, then I don't see why we can't continue doing what we've been doing. And if the cycle is going to repeat itself 10 years from now, this will happen again. But it would be nice if we spent most of those 10 years doing what we want to do and not letting coronavirus control us. And then when something happens, immediately doing the right thing and making it much less of a problem. Rather than
won't change by the next big flare up of infection, whether it's this virus or another.
Mm-hmm. One of its buddies, high school friend.
They're a massive group of friends. These coronaviruses. They're like the Bat Pack.
The Gangrene Gang. From Powerpuff Girls?
Of course I remember the Gangrene Gang.
That sure rocked. I'm Mojojojo. And him. Yeah, if you... Tommy figured this out. If you use a landline and a cell phone, or if he would do this if you asked him to. He would call you on a landline on a cell phone, and he could imitate him from Powerpuff Girls because he's got this like weird echo effect, and the delay between the cellular and the landline allowed him to create that voice. It was really cool.
Landlines, archaic now.
Yeah, damn. Yeah. Oh, speaking of archaic. Wait, what's that?
It goes into the earth. Like, how does that work? Sorry. Go ahead.
How are they gonna hear me? I watched Mary Poppins last night.
The original Bloody Mary Poppins.
The bloody original Bloody Mary Poppins. With Sarah. It was awesome. I haven't seen it in such a long time, and goddamn, it's really good. Like, phenomenal. I'd forgotten.
Who plays Mary?
Julie Andrews.
Yeah. And
then the dude is, I think it's Dick Van Dyke, but he is so goddamn good at dancing, it is mind-blowing. And he's just the whole movie, he's just prancing around and doing all sorts of acrobatic shit. It's very impressive, and there's so much music. It's all music. They like the conversations are like 10 seconds, and then they start another song.
So they should be.
It's great. Yeah, Dick Van Dyke. He plays the chimney sweep. But he's also a street performer. It's really trippy. It's very conducive for a psychedelic experience.
Well, turn on right now. I'm tripping balls. No, I'm just kidding.
And here we go.
I'm at work. All right.
I'm working right now. But, so yeah, Landline's old. A lot of that movie just, like, doesn't make any sense if everyone has a cell phone.
It could not have existed there.
No, and so, for so many reasons. Not
what? Hello? What? Just text me. Just text me what you're trying to tell me.
Yeah, like, why are you fucking calling me? Send me a text. There is a scene where they use a landline, but, like, that's not what it's like. So there's one character who he made his house look like a boat, and he's called the Admiral, the Admiral, on the Admiral, and he and his buddy hang out on the top of the house and sort of like pretend they're at sea and like keep track of the weather and are like ahoy. That whenever someone walks by on the street, they say ahoy matey, how are you doing? You know, what are you voyaging today? And you know, like there's a cloud in the west. We saw it earlier today. Be careful, bring an umbrella. Like just kind of spending their entire day just chatting with passersby and like looking at the weather. And like I imagine like a 10-year-old seeing that and being like, the weather's on their phone. The chatting with people's on their phone. Like, why are they doing that? They could be on their couch in their living room doing the same thing. And the reason that character's doing that is because he couldn't do that on his couch. The only way he could be checking out the weather and pretending he's on a boat and talking to all these people is by going outside, building this house, sitting on top of it, and having face-to-face conversation with people. And now you can easily pretend you're in a boat if you like put Jaws on your phone and then text your friends and check your weather app. But you instead of building a thing and performing and communicating with people, you just stared at a screen.
Yeah, different times.
So like that whole character just, it makes no sense. Like, why is he doing that? What is he doing even? Like, why is he telling people the weather? Everyone knows the weather. It's on their phone. You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's wild. And a bunch of other characters too. Like the street performer guy. Like, you know, there are people watching him. People couldn't just watch shit on their phones. So they're watching a street performer, you know? It's trippy. And then there's also a point where they lose their kids. And like, once again, cell phones, no one's losing their kids anymore. Or at least that's the solution to it. You know, like, did you try calling them? Like, there was no, that wasn't the thing. Like, holy shit, where are the kids? You know?
Yeah. I mean, now you take it for granted. Especially now everyone being at, next to their cell phone, really not doing anything with no excuse not to answer. These days.
Yeah, specifically these days.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of cool that we started this at times like these. It's settled down. We're not as panicked, and what's going on as we were earlier in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And, yeah. I remember life before the pandemic. I don't think life. It's going to take so long for life to get that good again. But life is better in a lot of ways now, but no way.
It'll be nice.
Life was so beautiful. The beauty that was lost.
It's kind of like what we were talking about with Mary Poppins, is how that kind of stuff is sort of, without realizing it, we made it impossible. We've technologied. We've programmed that out of human interaction. That the guy on the boat telling everyone the weather by accident, without realizing it. And then with coronavirus, we've been actually kind of once again, if you think about it, if you think about how we could have been prepared, kind of once again by our own lack of preparation, have lost this beautiful thing. But hopefully only temporarily, right?
I'm not going to look.
I'm glad.
Because I know that might do something.
All right, dude. It's been a good chat.
I think we're at an hour and a half, right?
I have no idea. I hope did you record the whole thing?
Yes.
Good, because I did not remember to hit record at the beginning.
Oh my god. Okay, good. I did the intro this time, so yeah, it's expected. I pressed it and then I started doing the intro.
It was perfect. I'm glad that you had it from the beginning when we don't really have a problem. Rule number 1 of making a podcast, record it. That's really important. You know, right?
Let's see. We're learning.
I don't think I have any other particular topics to hit right now. It was nice to mention coronavirus again. And I'm glad we got to talk about Mary Poppins.
Oh yeah. That's been this whole podcast. I was trying to play us out. But it's not working. Anyway, this is pretty anticlimactic. But yeah, let's do this. Do this again. We do the third episode. We do the third fucking episode in a soon amount of time. A short duration between this episode and the next is what I predict to be the future holds. So
that's the plan. Give you more Fort 1E than you ever wanted, and you could ever possibly want. And then what's up? What's up, Greg?
And then some.
And then some. We should be on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, Podbean, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
But not Pornhub. Not yet.
Not yet.
We'll save that for the premium episodes.
Yes. Grindr will be on there.
No.
No? Okay. Just me.
Just keep that your personal business.
No, I'm bringing it here, bro. I'm getting my business up in here. But yes, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next time in the Fort
1E. To be specific.